live stream.
We're going.
Craig, you're on.
Welcome to the Architectural Review Board meeting for today. The board meets every 2 weeks. We are appointed by City Council. We are staffed by volunteers. We are charged to review new construction and renovations in Mobile's historic districts affecting 8,400 buildings and homes listed on the National Register in 7 historic districts. Now, now we will call roll. If we will do that.
I have a few more introductory things. I'm sorry, Craig. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. This is the regularly scheduled bi-monthly meeting of the Architectural Review Board. The Review Board is a city board appointed by City Council to serve on a volunteer basis. The board is charged by city law to review new construction and exterior changes within Mobile's historic districts. Due to the necessity of following CDC guidance and local and state orders, this meeting is being conducted remotely, and the public may follow the proceedings via a live stream on the city's website. Anyone wishing to address comments to the board may either send those comments in writing by email or the U.S. Postal Service to the Historic Development Office, being sure to include one's name, home address, and the agenda item being addressed, or contact the Historic Development Office to be placed on the list of speakers in the Zoom meeting. Comments and requests to speak in the meeting must be received by 5 p.m. on the day before the ARB meeting. Staff will introduce each application to the board and briefly outline the request. At that time, the chair will convene a public hearing to review the application. All comments must be addressed to the board. After comments from the applicant, the chair will ask for comments from concerned parties. Members of the public wishing to address the board in the meeting will be admitted to the meeting from the Zoom waiting room when their item of interest is announced. The concerned parties will be introduced to the board and the applicants. After comments from the applicant and concerned parties, the board will determine the appropriate action for the request. When the item of interest is concluded, the concerned parties will be returned to the Zoom waiting room. Following the meeting, staff will generate correspondence notifying the applicant of the board's actions. Appeals of the review board concerning building issues are heard by City Council. There's a 15-day period to file the notice of appeal with the city clerk. Would the chair call the meeting to order?
This is Craig Roberts serving as chair on the meeting of order. Would you please call the roll?
Abby Davis.
Present.
Katarina Eccles.
Present.
Gypsy Van Antwerp.
Present.
Joseph Rodriguez.
Here.
Steve Stone.
Here.
Craig Roberts.
Here.
Have I missed anyone?
Andre.
Thank you.
Kathleen Huffman here.
Oh, thank you, Kathleen. Is that all our board members? Thank you.
Are we ready?
Yes. Would anyone like to move to approve the minutes from the January 6th meeting?
I make a motion to approve the January 6th meetings. Joseph Rodriguez.
Second, Abby.
Okay, move passes.
There was no vote.
Steve, I wish you were doing this. I can't remember anything. Now that I'm
Paid attention for 17 years. Come on.
all right. What's the next thing is about?
When you say all in favor?
Approving the agenda. Well, yes, you have to vote on the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Now do I hear a motion to approve the mid-month approvals?
I make a
So
motion
moved.
to approve the mid-month proposals.
Second, Steve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Nobody. Okay, passes.
I will make the agenda motion, which I guess we skipped. I'll move that ARB find that all agenda items listed for today's ARB meeting be adopted as necessary for the performance of the ARB's essential minimal functions.
In favor?
Second was Abby.
you.
Thank you, Abby.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Move passes. Are we ready for the first application? All
The
right,
subject property, Spanish Plaza, is a non-contributing property within the Church Street East Historic District. The application under review involves replacing the existing natural gas lighting fixtures and posts with LED lighting and new lamp posts, installing new entrance sign and statue lighting, installing new pole-mounted security lighting, and installing color-changing LED fountain lighting. The guidelines instruct that fixtures should be compatible with architectural and site design elements, and that new fixtures should be simple in character. The proposed new lamp posts and luminaires would be of a simple design that recalls the height, shape, and style of the historic post. The proposed new lighting, including security, sign, statue, and fountain illumination, is designed to remain on site and therefore would conform to the guidelines, which state new lighting should be contained within a site and not spill over to a neighboring property. With the exception of the proposed colored fountain lighting, the proposed LED lighting would be at a color temperature of 2700 to 3000 kelvins, which is a warm yellowish white light similar to incandescent or gas lighting. Therefore, the proposed LED lighting would appear similar in character to the existing gas lighting. Based on section B above, staff believes the changes proposed in this application would not impair the architectural or historic character of the surrounding district. Staff recommends approval of the application.
who do we have representing the city?
Jacob Lawrence.
Hey, welcome. Do you want
Thank
to add anything to what Christine just said about the proposed project?
I have nothing to add at this time.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the public? None? Okay.
The only comments were those that you received via email.
Okay. So does the board, other than me, have any comments or things to discuss?
I have a question. This is Joseph Rodriguez. In that first slide I looked at, there's a marker, marquee marker. Yeah, keep going down. I just wanted to ask, okay, now right there. No, go back up. On up again to the next. This is called existing site view. Go up again. Okay, all right, right there. That bottom view has four, well, I would think that there are 4 holes there. What are those holes for? In that bottom right picture?
That white area?
Yeah, well, yeah, the white.
What is that?
The original design had site lighting that was all up lighting that was ground fed. And because of Mobile's water table and the fact that we get so much rain, basically every in-ground light that we have across the city, for the most part, has shorted out. And so these particular lights have been non-functioning for at least 25 or 30 years. And when we explored the feasibility of going back with them as the lighting source for various aspects of this site. It was found out that basically all of the conduit has rotted and collapsed, so they are not reusable. And in order to keep the money moving towards the new installation of fixtures, we just chose to abandon those at the time, knowing that eventually we'll have to go back and infill them.
Okay, so in
Okay.
other words, there is going to be a cap that's put on top of that, those holes. I was just saying, it seems like to me, we ought to cover those holes.
And at some point it probably will be, but it is not part of the scope of work for this project due to the fact that we were trying to really focus on getting the site illuminated. Some of this, there's just never enough money, let's put it that way. And so we recognize that there will still be some deficiencies, but hopefully it's something we can address in the future.
How many of these holes are in these platforms around the whole park?
There are 4 around this particular statue. At one time, there were 3 around each of the other statues. During phase 1, we had 6 of them removed. So at this point, you're left with 6.
Thank you. I'm concerned that if they're just holes, they will collect water and mosquitoes will grow there, and that would be very dangerous. Unless they're filled in. Any comments on that?
Well, I'm also considering the legality of it too. What if somebody gets hurt playing with those holes or something? Will the city be liable?
I mean, let's remember though that's not part of this application.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's important to bring it up. And also, I mean, it's not too much hard to fill them with concrete or mortar and just cover them over. So they're
Right.
not just holes in the ground for people to mess with and mosquitoes to grow in. But you are right, that's not part of this project, but that would be, I think, something we can certainly recommend if we'd like.
So this is Steve, just a general question. Are the, the plaza itself was 1968. Are the gas lamps original to the 1968 construction? Do we know that?
Some of them I'm sure are, and other ones are replacements that have occurred throughout the years. We've got like 6 different styles of lamps out there right now. To the casual observer, they probably all look identical. You would just scan across and say, oh yeah, it's the same fixture. But if you truly get out there and start looking at it one to one, there's so many different replacements that have occurred that there's no standard lighting fixture out there. And that's another reason to try to move towards this one chosen fixture. We can not only create a more illuminated site, we can also, get all the fixtures to match.
Sure.
Well, those are all very good points. So is there any more comment before I have a few comments and some pictures I want to show everybody here at A&W Lighting of some gas flame?
I have a question, Craig, this
Mhm.
is Abby. Just in terms of the scope of the gas lanterns, are we replacing the ones that are there, or are we also adding new lanterns?
We will be replacing the ones that are there, and then we will be adding 4 other that are going to be around the fountain, specifically to bring the lighting more towards the center of the site.
Okay, and all of those, the replacing the existing and those 4 new ones are all going to be of the same style that you've shown, that you've provided drawings on?
That is correct.
Look
They will
like the gas ones.
all
Okay.
look identical. They will all be in a single row on the east side of the main walkway north to south through the site, and then a straight line on the west side of the same concourse.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Y'all done a really good job. I mean, I've been out there quite a bit recently, and it really looks nice. Sounds like somebody is typing, and I wish whoever you were would put your computer or phone on silent, please. There, now it's stopped. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Can I ask a question, Craig?
sure.
Hi, Jacob. This is Katarina Eccles. I do have a question. One of the letters that we received in the board was regarding the fact that some of the original lights, I don't know how many of them remain because, as you said, there's a kind of a mix that has been replaced over time. But they said that some of them had come from France and they were specifically picked for this project. Is there any way to find out which ones these are and perhaps reuse them somewhere where it makes sense to have them just because they do have an historic significance for the site?
The intention is to salvage every single lamp that we can and turn it over to the electrical department to reuse somewhere in the city. At this particular site, if we replace all of the existing gas lamps with new versions of the same except an LED, there will be no place for them. So we would have to find an adjacent property in which to use them, and there will be plenty because if you think about it, the streets surrounding that entire site all have gas lamps. We are not suggesting changing any of that out because the infrastructure upgrades that would be required are beyond the city's means.
Understood. No, that's a perfect plan, and I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention because if we could identify, those specific lights and put them somewhere closer to the vicinity of the park, on Church Street where you still have the gas lanterns, it would be, ideal if possible. But I understand that it makes much more sense considering the wonderful upgrades to the park to have something that's cohesive in design as opposed to, all of this. Light fixtures are some of them about to fail anyway.
Thank you, Katerina.
Thank you.
You know, one of my little side gigs, as y'all know, is to give tours of the city of Mobile for visitors. And I can't tell you how many times I get comments on the actual gas flames and all of these gas lanterns. It's like so remarkable to them that we still have real gas flames. And it's one of the things they remember most about our city, or one of the things other than the trees and the beautiful architecture. So I hate that we're having to change out to LED lights at all. I'd much rather them be the original gas flames. These aren't being used for security lighting, but rather for looks. And I think that's a shame, but I guess we have to go with the flow here, and things are changing. And every time something is changed out incomplete like this part, we're going to end up with LED lighting and not real gas lantern lighting. I know it's very expensive. And I guess that's the only reason the city is changing to LED lighting is because of the cost of the gas flames. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
Tell me.
The gas lamps will be maintained in as many sites as the city can. And I think that in general, a larger conversation that's not related specifically to the scope of this project is the question of which areas of town will be the gaslight districts. That aside, the point in going to LED for this particular site is to create an entranceway from Government Street to Civic Center Drive so that when the Civic Center is redeveloped, if ever that occurs, it creates the corridor that connects Lower Dauphin Street to Government and Government to this new entertainment venue. So the intention is to brighten it and to follow what has been done elsewhere in the city, where we have a lot of east-west access redevelopment that occurs and everybody can see it. However, the north-south access of the city over the past 3 or 4 years has received a lot of attention, especially from engineering. And this is just the next evolution of trying to make sure that our north-south corridors also connect the city.
But if these are all decorative and not security lighting for general lighting in the park, why can't they be just gas flames if it's not a cost problem? You just told me how pretty all the gas lighting is everywhere. Why are we not doing it here again? Because of that, what you just told me, right?
We are trying to brighten the site. That's how I led off my comments. We need to brighten the site. So we're going to raise the post
So how-
18 inches and we're going to add an LED fixture. We're going to add LED security lighting in an effort to create more of an arc of light so that we can brighten up the site, which at this time is a public safety hazard.
Which I understand, but you yourself has said the lanterns are decorative. They're not part of this light. I mean, the LED lights that mimic gas lanterns are not providing any more light than gas lantern, actual gas flames. So are you proposing that these lanterns are going to have very bright flame lights? Could I add a
No.
comment?
No. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm looking at the specs, and the specs show that, as mentioned before, that the LEDs would be 27K. And it shows a range of between 20 and 80 watts for the LED in the fixtures. As Craig just mentioned, if these are intended to be actually a luminaire for light source, then that's a good way to approach it, would be to use an LED that's going to have 20 to 80 watts of. But if you want the lanterns not to be a primary luminaire, but you want them to be simulating a gas lantern, then we solution that. But if you're trying to, if you don't have any other light source in that area, and you want to make sure it's bright or adequate for safety reasons, the LED simulated gas light bulb is not really a solution. So I just want to make sure we're going in the right direction here.
We've also gone to the trouble to do this meeting from here, at least my part, so we can now show you gas lanterns with these beautiful LED flame lights, okay? I hope you can all see this. Walking over there to these lanterns, and my friend Randy at A&W Lighting is going to show you, okay? Then you can make comments. Here we go.
Are y'all with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So I'm just a few feet away, but I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see. And you should be able to see 3 or 4 illuminated copper lanterns of various styles and sizes. Just ignore this one in here that has an incandescent light in it. But you can see the lantern at the top with the obscure glass that's with this. It's kind of on the inside, but smooth on the outside. So it doesn't require cleaning like a regular clear glass would, but it does simulate a gas flame from a distance. And I have it in a different style here, so you can see it. And then you can see it with the clear glass over here with a candelabra-shaped lamp. You can actually see the lamp, but it still simulates a gas flame. I'm going to open the door to this lantern, and you'll actually see the LED lamp inside and what it's doing to create that flicker flame look. And as you see, it doesn't produce maybe the light of 3 or 4 watts of power. So it's not a very luminescent light. It's just simulating that gas flame. And as I back up, you can kind of see. Does that show very well on the phone camera? I can't. It looks great here, but I don't know what it's like there.
No, it comes through.
Super.
Are those the type of bulbs being proposed?
I don't think so.
No.
This
So-
is not in the specs, exactly, because what shows up in the specs
A much brighter light, regular
well,
light bulbs.
first of all, they're LEDs, which are 2700K. That's going to be more this color here. Gas flames are somewhere in the 1800 Kelvin range, which is what you're seeing over here with this product here. It's more
Yeah,
of
it's a lot warmer. Yeah.
warmer
I
heat.
think this is more of what they're proposing. Is that right?
That's, I don't know if that's a 2700, I think it is, but it's in that range.
Can you see that? It's the one here.
Yeah.
Much brighter.
Yeah.
don't-
So,
Gas flames at all. Those things.
well, is there any way, Randy, you can help us quantify, like, I don't know, the amount of lumens or something? Is there a way to compare the amount of light? Because I don't know, to me, it sounds like there is some kind of, if they're trying to brighten it, or is there security involved there? How can we compare in any way the brightness we would get from that bulb versus the brightness of what
Well,
they're proposing?
I can say this, that the LED simulated gas flame is about the same illumination as a single flame gas lantern, which is not much light. It only provides a few lumens. It's
Got
not a luminaire choice for safety and security. It's really only for looks, just like a gas lantern is. If
Mhm.
you provide illumination for the site for safety and security, then you've got to go with a regular LED product in order to brighten it up enough to provide those features.
And the reason these that he's showing you that really look like gas flames, the reason we're going to that in a lot of high residential is because this is an LED bulb that lasts a very long time. It provides no heat. It's not dangerous. But a gas flame can cost up to $30 a month to run in a lantern. So even people with a lot of money are now hesitating to spend hundreds of dollars a month on gas flames around their courtyards because the cost of the gas is so expensive.
Right.
So this is a great solution because it really looks like a gas flame. So see, the reason I'm showing all this is because I didn't think the new lanterns at Spanish Plaza were supposed to be security lighting, or I thought that was provided by other sources. And we wanted the lanterns to still look like the old timey gas lantern, gas flames. So if that's not what we're trying to do, I think it's a shame, but that's just the way it is then, I guess.
So while we're here, do you have any questions about this product?
I have a
This
question,
will
period.
work in any lantern with a candelabra base or a medium base. The medium base, to me, has a better look, but also the obscure glass makes it look better rather than the clear glass. So the fixtures that are on the proposal that I looked at briefly have clear glass and a type L.
Well, I have a question. The drawing that I'm looking at, I see two types of lighting, and one even says the third detail on the proposed new lamp post detail sheet. I see where it says security lighting with ballast, and of course I see this lamps. If we're not using these lamps that we're discussing for security, they're more for effect. We have security lighting that should put light in the Spanish Plaza area, right? Am I understanding this right? It's going to be two types of light. One is overall to put enough light on the park. The other is to put effect on the light, the Spring City lamp. Am I understanding that correctly?
You are.
Okay, super.
Well, in that case, this is Steve. If I can jump on Joe's point of if we're adding the bullet lights to to provide additional illumination and security, this board goes out of its way to enforce repairing when at all possible instead of replacing. And if per the application, if you're going to reuse these elsewhere in the city, that means they're still operable and functional. And I don't see why they can't be replaced in or repaired in place and supplemented for security reasons.
In other words, to keep the gas flames
Correct.
as a decorative.
But supplement it with other LED security lighting when
Well,
needed.
that's what they're doing. I mean, there is security lighting, like Joe just said, that they've specified, and lighting on the statues and the fountain and all that.
Steve, my understanding is because what's there right now is not just one type. There's a variety of them because they've been replaced over time. So the
Yeah, but so
objective
what?
here, well,
Yeah. I mean,
it's just to make
that's
it more
part of the
coherent.
character of it. I mean, it's whatever your preference is. If you like the new bug lights, we'll vote for the new bug lights. they're unsightly. That's all. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
I have a question. Craig, I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you asking if the design that we've seen for the new lamppost that simulates the old lamppost, if instead of the bulb they have planned for that you want to replace it with this other bulb at the A&W lighting that looks like a gas flame?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So Jacob, what do you say to that?
I can certainly speak to the contractor about it and see if he would be willing to reprice what has been given as part of his bid amount and make sure that it is comparable so that we can, you know, come to a compromise and see if we can get this worked out. Because the intention, again, while this is not security lighting, we do have to brighten the site a little bit, and to make all the colors match between the security lighting and the gas lamp lighting, you know, at somewhere around 3000 Kelvin was, you know, 2700, 3000 Kelvin was always the intention, so that we could get away from the orange and get away from what is going to look like the top hat lamps that you see out on the street on every adjacent corner to the property. The idea is to brighten it up with a whitish light that is warm, so that when you look through the site, you're not going, God, look at that terrible orange light that is just, you know, bothering me because it's so, you know, electrified that you kill the site. The idea is to make the light do what it's supposed to do, but not become an amenity itself, except as a decorative feature in each of those, while creating a little bit more light from each of the gas lamps that will be replaced to LED.
Well,
Okay,
I don't,
but what's
That doesn't
between
sound all
your,
possible.
wait,
Go ahead.
what's the difference between the light bulb that you are planning to put in the new lamps and the one that we're looking at the lighting store? What's the difference?
I can tell you that. The one that's
What?
specified looks more like a regular incandescent light bulb and is brighter. The one I'm proposing here at the A&W Lighting mimics a gas flame. And yes, that is an orange color. But, you know, if your concept is to make all the lighting in gas lanterns or in security lighting or in lighting on the fountains or lighting on the statues, all the same color light and all the same kind of light, then I think that's what the city wants to do. Now, often though, lighting is done throughout parks throughout in Charleston, Savannah. They do all this. That's why I was hoping Kim would be here, because she was going to call Savannah and Charleston to see how they handle this problem. And then you have the gas flames, which are a different, yes, they're an orange kind of lighting, but most people love that beautiful gas flame look, regardless of the other lighting in the park. I mean, it doesn't have, you're not trying to, it's like apples and oranges. You aren't trying to make it
is.
an apple. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I mean, this is a theory of lighting going on here, and a taste thing and a taste level thing, and a disagreement in what is tasteful and what is not, or what looks better or what doesn't. And
Well,
so
it's also about the authenticity of, you know, putting a white light in a lantern that you're trying to make kind of look like a gas lantern. It's just it's in opposition to itself in a way, to me. Like, if this is ambient lighting, then why don't, I kind of agree with Steve, we would keep the
the
gas.
gas
You know,
flame.
if
Why
the
not?
idea is to keep the ambiance there, it depends on what the intent is. And I'm hearing kind of different things from Jacob, because if the intent is to brighten and make everything white, why would we be, I mean, they're pretty. I understand they're pretty, but at the same time, that would be like more lumens, more light. And if we're not trying to get more light, could we just keep the authenticity and the beauty of the warm flame? And people accept that that is meant to be warm because it's a gas lantern. So I don't
Or
know
it's
that.
yeah, whether it's
Right.
this, whether it's this mimic of a gas flame or the gas flames themselves, it gives the old timey look and an old timey lantern. Often in municipal parks, what is done is they come up with all sorts of other lighting that could be called security lighting, that's tastefully done, that's hidden, that's out of the way, and it lights up the whole area and the park without being obnoxious. And then you have these beautiful old traditional lanterns coming through it with the original gas flames. I think that's what everybody on this board is trying to ask for, the way I hear everybody. And so I was just trying to show you option for an electric bulb that looks like a gas flame. So we should table this for now, and it should be withdrawn and brought back when this is further discussed and figured out.
I have
Well,
one
I'd
question.
like to see,
Jacob, I'm still looking at security lighting as opposed to the obvious lighting. I'm with Craig. If you got obvious lighting here, the Spring City lighting, you leave it orange. But if you're looking for security to light the area, you've got it listed here as a security light. And couldn't you just beef up the lumens in the security lights to provide the light at the source that you want, and then give the obvious with the orange colored lights or the obvious light with the LED bulb that Craig is talking about? Can't everybody be happy is what I'm saying. Give everybody what they want. Rather than trying to beef up the light on this spring light, which takes away from the effect of the other old Southern style and what was there.
Thank you,
the
Joe.
security light should do that.
Thank you, Joe. I think we've talked about this enough, and I
Yeah.
think there's still a lot of controversy about it. And I would have loved for Kim to have commented on what she heard from Charleston and Savannah and how they have solved this problem. Because and I don't think we can go any further with this. It won't be approved. And I think it needs to be withdrawn and then just further discussed and brought back later. Do we need a design review committee on this to get together when we can talk about it more thoroughly with city representatives, Jacob and whoever, and with maybe Kim could be there and we could talk through this rather than just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, which is what we're doing. We're not making any progress here at all today. But now at least we
Craig,
have all the options.
Craig,
Yes.
Craig, one thing I would like to see, not today, but when they come back, or if you do a special committee, is where is the security lighting in relation to the lamps? Are they going to be fighting with each other? I mean, if you got, I just don't know where these security lights are in the plaza and where the gas lamps are. What's the relation?
Well, Jacob, let me speak a minute. I think we're not really saying security lighting. It's other lighting to provide general lighting for people to walk around and feel safe. So I don't know that security lighting is the proper word, and I know I use that as well. But yes, and it's hard in looking at our drawings here for the regular person to look at all these drawings, and there's a lot of them, as to what's going on here. It's very hard for the average person, which mostly sit on this board, even for me as an architect, to look through all that and determine what's actually going on with all the other lighting. I think it sounds exciting with the pool and the different colors of the lights and the fountain and all that, and then lights up all the statues, and that's great. But some of the other lighting, I think, is a little confusing, and we need to either have design review so we can go through over all this with the final home and then come back to the board and explain to everybody exactly what's happening and tell them exactly what decisions would be and get Kim involved with this. She has talked to Savannah or Charleston about it. So we have much more information to bring forward. It's too hard to lay this much information, pack it that big on board members who are basically just citizens serving on a board to understand exactly what's going on here. It needs to be more thought out and discussed. And people, we need to be able to come to the board and say exactly what it is that's going on. That's what I think. So,
well,
Jacob,
I think beyond that, I think we need to visit the plaza. I think we need to walk through with
that's a great
Jacob.
idea. That's why I think a design review meeting would be great, and we can do it on site with Jacob, the city, whoever else, and he could describe where all these lights are going and exactly what's going on. It is very important. It's a very important park. And I agree with you.
So do you need a motion?
So can I make a motion that we visit the site and get more information, and right now table this until we have more clearer definition of what's to go out there? Can I make that motion?
Sure.
I'll second that motion.
And and Christine, would you see who can meet at that meeting from the city and from the board who can meet out at the park to do this, please?
I can arrange that if the applicant is in agreement.
Well, I'd really like you guys to consider voting. We've got this contract in routing, and now we're beginning to create an issue where we're going to start costing this project money. We're already $70,000 over budget because we tried to jam pack this with as much as possible so that we didn't have to go to a phase 3 and a phase 4 where people hold their breath with anticipation of stuff that never comes, because we all know that's what tends to happen when we start parsing these projects out into phases 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. I will be happy to talk to the contractor to see if we can get a 2700 lumen bulb in these LED replacements for the gas lamps. I will be happy to do that. I just want to make sure that I don't commit the city to something that the contractor is not willing to do based on pricing that we already have in hand in a contract that's already in routing. I'm very concerned that the further we push this back, the more convoluted this is going to get. I don't know that I can be any more specific about. We've got a couple of different types of lighting, and we have, yes, tried to make sure that the lighting matches to a great degree so that you don't end up with ultimately something that's super blue like you see up at the loop area where all these LEDs are going in up and down Government Street, or the ultra orange that has now in this meeting been described as bug lighting, which if you go out to Church Street and you look up above Malaga and you go out to behind the Civic Center and you look up into the parking lot and you see that ultra orange lighting, that is what we're trying to avoid so that we don't create a toxic environment.
This is Steve, and I think I made the bug light comment, and I think you misunderstood it. I was saying the white 3000 Kelvin looks much more bug lighty than the orange. I'm a fan of the orange, so that's just my 2 cents.
I have a
Jason?
question. When you come back, could you just check to see if the cost is the same? You're putting lights in, and I haven't really heard you say that the cost of this orange light is $10 different than what you wanted to put in. So you were talking about cost. We need to know that too.
Do you mind if I comment? Because it sounds like, and I don't know who made this comment, that the train has already left the station as far as the contract for this particular project for the materials and implementing it. What I'm looking at on the specs for the Spring City lamp, it's already specified with an integrated LED, apparently. I say integrated. It looks like it's not a fixture that has a bulb that screws in, but it's actually designed with an LED chip inside of it. And I don't know what wattage, whether it's 20, 40, 60, or 80, but that is a primary luminaire that's going to light the area along with the security pole lights that are there as well. If you do that all together, it's a great look. If you don't want to include a gas look, and if you're including gas in other areas, that may be the theme that you want to have, gas in some areas, but this place to be better illuminated, still nice lanterns, but all with a warm 2700K. So I think if you can't undo what's already committed, because it wouldn't be as simple as this fixture would not accommodate a $30 LED simulated gas light, because it doesn't seem to have a medium base socket to screw that in because it's an integrated LED. Am I correct there?
That is correct. You have said it more eloquently in 2 minutes than I've been able to say it. And so thank you very much. The idea is not to lose gas lamps and the look of gas lamps from the general area, but it is to try to conform the light into one way in this particular block only.
All right. That being said, of course, this is a historic district, and the city is aware that they have to go before the Architectural Review Board to get approval for anything, no matter what stage it's at or how far it is along. It's part of the consequence of being in a historic district. And we are appointed by City Council to to overview everything and to approve or deny any project. That being said, Jason, if you table this and agree to maybe a meeting out there with some board members in the city to talk about what's actually happening and what it's going to be and where we are with this and some of the things I mentioned to find out, that can be done in a reasonable amount of time on your behalf. However, if we do like you've just ask us to vote on this today, if it fails, it means it's a long time before you can come back before the board for another application. How long is it, Christine? 6 weeks?
6 months, I thought.
A month? Is it a month?
It is 6 months, or the applicant may appeal within 15 days.
Right. In other words, she's saying if we deny today the proposal as written, you can, of course, take the appeal to the city council. And if they overrule us, then you have your way just exactly as it is.
Well, and I think that's the obvious play here is vote it, and even if it votes it down, they'll get it overruled in city council and it'll go forward.
Right. Or you can take and go
No,
through this.
I certainly don't want to force the hand of the ARB, and that's not the intention here. I am just trying to be a good steward of everybody because I feel like we've done our due diligence to really try to make sure that we take care of everybody. Unfortunately, part of this got caught up in the Christmas holidays when we were finally able to get it in front of ARB, when we were finally able to start routing this. I mean, we got into Christmas and New Year's, and then, COVID has created all new things. And so it's certainly not to force anybody's hand. So if I need to table it and meet, I will be happy to do so. I just want to make sure that, people understand that this was not done in a way that was, number one, meant to harm, number two, meant to destroy the historic fabric of Church Street East. It is merely to look at one site to try to make a connective tissue, I guess is the best way to describe it, between the Civic Center and other points that are closer to Dolphin Street. So if you're driving down, let's say Government Street, and you see this thing, you go, oh my gosh, look at it. I want to go there. And then it gets people into, Church Street East. And you still have the gas lamps. It's just not in this particular block. And so again, in essence, to try to make sure that we are not competing with the authentic gas lighting, we made the unilateral decision and spoke with the electrical engineer and said, how can we make sure that this does not compete? And the best way that we saw to do it was to try to conform the light across the site.
Well, that is well said. However, we're a board representing all of the people who live in all the historic districts. And this can't, I think you've well stated what your opinion is and what you're trying to do. And it's just that for us, I think for some of us, it's like if you went to Savannah, Charleston, Jackson Square in New Orleans that has gas lanterns all around it. And then all of a sudden they want to come in and take all that gas out of those lanterns and put in some LED bulbs. How do you think that would go over? Not very well. And so that's our concern, is that are we going to be up to snuff in maintaining our historic integrity? Or are we just going to slowly let everything collapse into, what would be a fine thing to do in Columbus, Ohio, in their park downtown? That's all I'm saying, No offense to Columbus, Ohio. I was just talking about it.
Ding it on Columbus, Craig. Right.
But that's all. So, we can take a vote today.
No. So if I withdraw and request a meeting on the site that is set up by, I would assume, Christine or someone would, be the one to, coordinate this, since she is the director of the staff. I want to make sure that I do this just right, because again, there's no malicious intent. It's merely to try to improve a site.
You have a motion and second to do that.
I mean, this is Steve again. I don't really understand the point of the design review committee at this point. But I mean, you're Craig, you're chair today, so you're more than welcome to call it. I mean, it seems like a vote is fine with me.
Can I ask one more question? If there's no bulb in there, what does it look like? I mean, I know it's taller, it's higher up, but what is the source of light? Do you just see light, or what do you see there?
I don't know the answer to that based on the.
Would you all allow me to share my screen with you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. You cannot share a screen while other participant is sharing. If somebody could go to the Spring Valley light post and zoom in on the fixture that's on top of the light post, it shows you in essence what it would look like. It's got a tube running up the middle. It splits off into an inverted Y, and then it has two downward looking, and it's on that page right there that actually just scrolled up that says proposed new lamps. If you are on the left-hand side of that screen, and it might not show up, it just might not be a high enough resolution, but you can kind of see it.
The one above that zoomed in on the top, was that first page not it at the top, or we just looked at the?
It is, generally speaking, what is already there, and it is what we are trying to match. The lamp that is there is a different vendor that we chose not to go with, but it actually looks like the lamp. The one that is on the post is actually the lamp that was spec'd. This is just the best that I could do to try to get you visual aids to show you a close-up, but I don't have a close-up of the light fixture that's not on the post.
Well, Jason, one thing is that, I'm sure if you had known the controversy this would create, what would have been nice if we had been brought, or like I did today, to show you all these lanterns with those LED flame bulbs. It would have been nice if we could see something like that in what you're proposing to compare the two. I mean, because we can't tell what does the bulb look like, how bright is it? I can understand it somewhat because I'm an architect, but a lot of people wouldn't even know what in the world are we talking about. And so that would give us something to actually see, just like we went up and I showed you these lanterns with different kind of LED flame bulbs. That would be nice to do. That's why I think a design review meeting would be great. And we've already had a recommendation and a second. So I guess I can say, bring this to an end. All in favor of a design review on the site.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposition? So Christine, would you set up this meeting with Jason, and we'll do that at some time over the next week or so? Jacob, I'm sorry, Jacob, sorry. Okay?
Yes.
Just be sure Kim Harden is there. So I now have to get off of this Zoom because Randy has to go to another meeting. So I was able to do this on my computer. I'm pretty bad at this. So I may have to leave the whole meeting and someone else will have to be chairman for the rest of the projects, which shouldn't be too hard in this case.
Well, let me just say thank you for coming into our showroom today. I'm glad I was able to show you something from our showroom, the lanterns and the simulated LED gas light. But that only represents a small part of the products that we offer. And you are all welcome to come by anytime.
Yeah, they're out here on Hillcrest Road if you want to come look at these lanterns and see how pretty they are.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to get on by phone, y'all.
What's the next package we have to look at?
And I can't remember where I put all that information in here.
Matter of the board that I move ahead.
Yeah, so we want to go to 926 Conti or what?
Then the next application is 106 to 110 North Royal.
Royal, okay.
The subject property, 106 to 110 North Royal Street, is a contributing property within the Lower Dauphin Street Commercial Historic District. The application under review involves the demolition of facade elements, installation of a new storefront, repair and/or construction of new column covers, creation of bollards, installation of new light sconces, and the installation of new canopies. Because no historic photographs of the subject facade could be located, it is unknown what changes may have occurred in its history. However, the facade appears similarly simple in design to those of other commercial buildings of its era, making it likely that very little substantive change has occurred. Therefore, the building is most consistent with building condition 1 noted above. The guidelines state, preserve key character-defining features of historic commercial facade and preserve the character of the cornice line. Furthermore, the guidelines state that historic doors and doorways should be preserved in their original locations and configurations. Maintain an original doorway to emphasize the commercial entrance. The proposed changes to the building facade would preserve both the character-defining fenestration pattern and the dentil brick pattern at the cornice. Therefore, other than the removal of the existing garage gates discussed below, the proposed changes to the facade would not alter the character-defining features and would be in conformance with the guidelines. The guidelines instruct, replace a historic storefront to be consistent with the historic location. And if replacement of some material is required, use a material that is similar to that of the original. The proposed replacement storefront will be in the same location as the existing and would be composed of similar material. The location of the main entry to the storefront would be maintained in conformance with the guidelines, which state preserve and repair doors and doorways of a historic commercial building. The guidelines further instruct that original doorways should be maintained to emphasize the commercial entrance. All existing entries, both pedestrian and vehicular, would be maintained in their locations by the proposal. The existing pedestrian door within the storefront at the north end of the facade would be replaced with a similar door in accordance with the guidelines, which state, if necessary, replace a door in a fashion that is sensitive to the historic commercial character of the building. Use doors with a high proportion of transparent glass. The iron gates and overthrows at the garage openings would be removed and not replaced. It is not known whether the gates are original to the structure. However, they are character defining as they convey the historic use of the property. Their removal would not seem to be in accordance with the guidelines. The guidelines also state that the visual impact of metal bars or grills on a historic building should be minimized. The gates are used for security, and in accordance with the guidelines, they are appropriately sized and do not have decorative features. The gates are a prominent feature of the building facade, i.e., they are not minimized, and their removal should be carefully considered. It is not known whether the existing windows in the storefront portion of the facade are original to the structure. However, they would be replaced with similar windows.
Yes.
The guidelines direct that if required, replace original historic windows to be compatible with the windows on the original historic building. Use large panes of glass that fit the original opening for a display window. The proposed green tinted replacement glass would not be inconsistent with the guidelines, which instruct only do not use opaque treatments for windows, including black plexiglass. Do not paint a window. Do not use reflective mirror glass for a window. The application proposes to remove the existing shutter above the central pedestrian doorway and the existing canvas awning above the storefront portion of the facade. The shutter would be replaced by a canvas or metal valance, and the awning would be replaced by an aluminum canopy. The guidelines state preserve and maintain a historic shutter or awning. Maintain and repair a historic shutter or awning. However, based on their designs and materials, the existing shutter and awning do not appear to be either original to the building or historic. Therefore, their removal would not contravene the guidelines. In regard to replacing the shutter and awning and installing valances and installing a new canopy over the garage entrances, the guidelines offer only the following. If required, replace or add shutters and awnings to maintain and keep visible the key features of a historic building. Fit a replacement awning or shutter to precise window or door opening. Use an awning with a profile similar to that of a historic awning.
Christine, can I interrupt you a minute? Can you let me in? I'm trying to get in on this other phone. It says, wait, the meeting host will let you in.
You good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. In regard to replacing the shutter and awning and installing valances and installing new canopy over the garage entrances, the guidelines offer only the following. If required, replace or add shutters and awnings to maintain and keep visible the key features of a historic building. Fit a replacement awning or shutter to precise window or door opening. Use an awning with a profile similar to that of a historic awning. The new valances would be fitted into the existing openings and they would not obscure any key features of the building. Likewise, the new canopy over the storefront entrance and the garage openings would be of restrained design in keeping with the building's era of construction and composed of materials appropriate to the building. Furthermore, they would not obstruct any key features of the facade. The existing exterior lighting mounted behind the parapet wall of the facade would be removed and replaced with sconces mounted on the front of the building. The existing lighting is neither original nor historic. The proposed wall sconces appear to be in conformance with the guidelines, which instruct design lighting that is in character with the setting. Use lighting that is compatible with architectural and site design elements. When adding a new fixture, use one that is simple in character. Design lighting to be contained within a site and to not spill over to a neighboring property. The sconces would be simple in design to blend with the minimally detailed facade, and light would not spill into neighboring properties, as that is not the function of sconce lighting. Staff questions. Is removal of the gates at the garage openings necessary? If so, is there a way to replicate the aesthetic of garage entry-exit gates in order to maintain the historic feeling and convey the historic use of the property? Staff recommendation. Based on section B above, staff believes the proposed changes to the facade of the subject properties would not impair the historic or architectural character of the building or the surrounding district. Staff recommends approval of the application.
Greg?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I've got two phones going here. One is mine. One is Randy's. He's about to leave. This is very difficult for me, and now y'all have asked me to play this job. Okay, what do we do? Is there anybody from the audience who has anything from the public who has anything to say or ask?
Well, is the applicant present? I believe he is.
I am Stephen McMahon. I'm one of the property owners.
Okay. So does the board have any questions?
Well, I like staff's suggestion about the gate. I know that would be a lot more expense, but was any consideration given about the gate or the ironwork that was around the openings?
Well, we did talk about it, but frankly, the gates are not being used. I suspect these gates were put in at some point in time when most people left downtown and went to their homes at night. So the gates were locked so people couldn't get in at night. But that dynamic obviously has changed quite a bit over time, especially recently, because we do have downtown residents that use this. This is a parking deck for those of y'all that I'm just on my phone. I don't know if y'all have anything in front of me that you're looking at, but the gates don't get used. They don't get closed. We don't lock them because we have residents that lease parking spaces from us. So they obviously need access 24/7, to access their vehicles. So while they're there, they're not used. They haven't been for quite some time.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to entertain?
I'll make a motion, find facts as written.
All in favor?
Second, Abby.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
This is Steve. I'll make a motion that the project does not impair the historic integrity of the building or district and should be granted a COA.
All in favor?
Second.
Wait for that second, Craig.
I'm trying. All in
Aye.
Aye.
opposed?
Katarina Eccles opposed.
Motion passes. Application accepted.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon.
Yes, ma'am.
Next project?
926 Conti Street. The subject property, 926 Conti Street, is located within the Old Dolphin Way Historic District. The application under review involves the relocation of an existing contributing house and the creation of parking in its current location. While the proposed relocation is not actually a demolition, some of the guidance related to demolitions found in the guidelines may be helpful in this instance. The impacts of the removal of a structure upon the structure itself and its visual context are important, as is the future use of the space created by a building's removal, as follows from the guidelines. Consider the impact of removing the historic structure relative to its context. Consider whether the building is part of an ensemble of historic buildings that create a neighborhood. Consider the future utilization of the sites. The house at 926 Conti Street is located on the same tax parcel as the historic Walker Furniture Warehouse, to which is related both visually and historically. The warehouse is slated to become residential lofts, necessitating the creation of additional parking. The vacant land created by the relocation of 926 Conti Street would be paved as parking for the new residences behind it. The Gulf Coast Cottage would continue to be visually related to the historic warehouse. The guidelines specific to relocation state, consider whether or not a structure will be relocated within the same district and in a similar context. Relocation may be more appropriate when the receiving site is in the district. Relocated buildings shall be placed in situations that do not impair the architecture or the historic character of the surrounding buildings and districts. When relocating a building, maintain its general placement and orientation on the new site so as to maintain the architectural and historic character of the streetscape and district. The subject house would be moved within the Old Dolphin Way Historic District and within the same lot where it has existed historically. It would be located approximately 60 feet south of its current location, with its south elevation approximately 15 feet north of the Conti Street right-of-way. The 15-foot setback would navigate the setbacks of its nearest neighbors to the east and west, with 922 Conti Street located approximately 13 feet north of the right-of-way, and 930 Conti Street located approximately 17 feet north of the right-of-way. The house at 926 Conti Street historically has existed between the houses at 922 and 930, and it would continue to do so. Therefore, the relocation of the subject house would not impair the architectural or historic character of the property or the surrounding district. Based on Section B above, staff believes the proposed relocation of 926 Conti Street, approximately 60 feet to the south of its current location, would not impair the historic character of the property or the surrounding district. Staff recommends approval of the application.
Is there anyone here to speak for or against this project?
My name's Taylor Atchison. the applicant, and thank you, Christine, for the review. And I'm here for any questions any board members may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the
Hey,
board have?
This is
Yeah.
a really dumb question. Is this a residence? Is this where someone's living?
No, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's currently vacant. We had some renters there. They have since left, and it is currently vacant, but plans to be leased again once the moving and construction is complete.
Hey, Taylor, it's Steve. I can't see it anywhere in the app. Are you putting it on are you rebuilding piers, or are you doing a slab foundation?
We're doing piers. We submitted a structural plan. I don't believe it was included in this, but basically the city requirements now, my understanding, are a continuous footer on the exterior, and then built up from that will be on the front facade, center block piers with a brick, pier, historic. And actually, these brick piers currently have stucco on them on the outside of them. So, you know, we're happy either way on kind of the look. We're going to do what, you know, looks good and meet all standards, but they will be on piers. Yes.
All right. Tyler.
Yes.
Correct, Christine, that this would be brought back as another project to approve, because we can't you always do nice stuff, Taylor. You know, it's always really well done. But I mean, you know, we have to have something to approve on paper. And this application is to move the house and for the parking situation redo. It's not to approve the renovation of this house. Is that not correct?
What's before you is the proposal to move the structure 60 feet to the south.
So Taylor, you'll come back with the drawings that show the renovation for us to approve, right?
Yeah, Craig, I guess I wish I had included that. We really aren't planning on doing a lot of exterior renovation. It will be repainted, obviously. And we are wanting to replace the roof. So yeah, we'll have to apply for those things, but
you know, some things are easy and the staff can approve it as long as it meets, you know, what the requirements are. It's just that when y'all were getting that conversation about the piers and all, that's very important always to us about how the house sits on a foundation of whatever kind. And so that's something we need to have on the records as to what's being done. And it does have to be approved. I mean, I don't know if that qualifies for coming before the board, or if the staff can approve that a lot, you know, on their own, like a lot of the things. But I just wanted to point that out. We're not approving for this application any of the renovation of this house, just the fact that it's okay to move it, right?
Well, we do need to be able to set it back down somehow.
Well, you.
But Craig,
the house will be set back down.
But this is Steve again. The application does.
I don't think you do anything wrong, my friend. I'm just saying we have to have that on.
I know.
Okay. Does anybody have a question?
I was waiting for you to stop talking.
Me?
The application says that we are approving the parking lot as well.
That's what you get for letting me play board chairman.
Oh my God, am I paying for it? All right.
I've never been board chairman before because I get too mad at people and I talk too long.
All right, that's neither here nor there. All right, so the application says parking lot as well, but the parking lot isn't really. I mean, there's fencing being shown, but there's no elevations on fencing or there's other stuff besides just moving the house. But all we have is a civil site plan. I mean, if we're fine approving that entire parking lot, which is what we're doing by approving this application, and all fencing and things to go with it, keep in mind that's what this application is about, not just moving the house.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Why not resubmit this as just one package? Because it's not kind of clear to me uh, which way we're moving it and what's going on with the park. And I see one site plan, and that's all fine, but you may be able to kill two birds with one stone if the complete package was just resubmitted.
So Taylor, you withdraw this and back some more details?
No, I appreciate that comment. We're happy to reapply for whatever additional stuff you need additional information on. We would like to get approved the relocation of the dwelling because we're lined up to do this work, and you know we're happy to get y'all to sign off on any sort of fencing or parking lot stuff later, and we'll reapply. But if there's a way we could approve the moving of the house, we finally have a house mover pinned down, and with these hurricanes this past fall, that has been really tough, and we're hoping we can proceed if y'all are okay with the positioning of the house on the property.
Right.
Go ahead.
Any proposed changes such as the parking lot fencing things that would be coming through my office. Currently, the application that is before you is essentially what is going through our engineering office, and the engineering office cannot move forward without approval simply of the relocation of the house.
Can we just approve that one thing, the moving of the house?
We can certainly amend the motion.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to find facts as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I'll make an amended motion to approve the relocating of the house, but ask that the applicant provide further detailing on any fencing and items in front of the fence, between the fence and the parkway.
And the foundation of the house.
And the foundation of the house.
Or any renovations on the house, actually.
Well, he's already said that's not going to be part of this project, so. I'll make it.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thanks, Taylor.
Amended application. Thank you, Tyler. Oh, is my friend Douglas in the room?
He was here.
He probably got frustrated and walked out.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There you are.
Yeah, I just muted y'all.
Hey, Christine.
Okay. The subject property, 161 South Cedar Street, is located within the Church Street East Historic District. The application under review involves construction of a one-room wide, full-depth addition to the north elevation of the house, construction of a full-width, 5-foot deep addition to the rear of the house, and the construction of a back porch.
Yes.
Per the guidelines, additions should be placed to the rear or side of the historic building wherever possible. The proposed additions to the house will be placed along the north side and to the rear of the existing house. The guidelines further instruct that additions should be differentiated from the main mass of the original structure by using a physical break or setback from the original historic wall to visually separate the old from the new. The addition to the north elevation of the house will be set back by 1 foot from the front plane of the house, thus differentiating it from the original structure. The existing corner board at the southeast corner of the house will be maintained to differentiate the rear addition from the original block of the house. The guidelines instruct that additions should be designed to be compatible in massing and scale with the original historic structure, matching the foundation and floor heights of an addition to those of the historic building. The foundation heights of the proposed additions would match that of the existing house. The massing and scale of the additions would be compatible with the historic house, as their footprints, 460 square feet for the north elevation addition and 105 square feet for the rear addition, would clearly be subordinate to the historic house, which has a footprint of approximately 1,308 square feet according to the city's GIS. The guidelines state that the exterior walls of additions should be designed to be compatible in scale and rhythm with the original historic structure. Compatibility means that the height of an addition is proportionate with the historic building, with floor heights on the exterior of the addition designed in a fashion that reflects floor heights of the original historic building. As noted above, the floor heights of the proposed additions would match the floor height of the house, and the overall height of the additions would be equal to the block of the house. The compatibility of the walls of new additions includes the materials in which the addition is clad. The guidelines state that exterior materials and finishes that are comparable to those of the original historic residential structure in profile, dimension, and composition should be used. The proposed additions will be clad in wood siding to match the existing house. The roof of an addition should be designed to be similar in shape, pitch, material, and level of complexity to the existing historic building. The proposed additions will be topped with a hipped roof extension of the existing hipped roof, thereby matching it in pitch, material, and complexity. The guidelines further encourage the incorporation of soffits, cornices, fascia, frieze boards, moldings, or other elements into an addition that are generally similar to those of the historic building. The cornice of the proposed additions would match that of the existing house in accordance with the guidelines. The doors and doorways of additions should be compatible with those of the historic building, including materials and dimensions. The proposed rear addition would have a single clad wood and glass door with transom on its rear elevation to access the porch. Although the glass door would not match any doors currently existing on the house, the inclusion of a transom in the design would make the door both compatible with the historic structure, as the existing front door is topped by a transom, and distinguishable from the historic structure. The guidelines state that the foundations of additions should be compatible with those on the historic building, matching the type, height, and materials whenever possible. The proposed additions will be placed on brick-faced piers to match the existing house in type, material, and height. The use of similar detailing to that found on the existing historic structure is encouraged by the guidelines. Use details that are similar in character to those on the historic building. Such detailing should match in profile, dimension, and material. The proposed additions would include detailing such as cornices and corner boards that would match those found on the existing house. The windows and additions should be compatible with those of the original historic building, including size, place, and spacing. The windows proposed for the north addition would include windows reused from the existing house and new wood-clad 1/1 types to match those on the existing house. The windows would be regularly spaced, as are the existing historic windows, in accordance with the guidelines. The proposed rear porch would be covered by an integral hipped roof in conformance with the guidelines, which instruct design a rear porch so that its height and slopes are compatible with the original historic structure. The guidelines further instruct that new porches should be compatible in scale, proportion, and character with the existing historic building. Foundation heights should match, and the materials used for the porch should be appropriate to the historic building. The proposed rear porch would have a footprint of 120 square feet, which is less than 10% of the footprint of the existing house. It would be simple in character with no complicated ornamentation, and its roof would be supported by appropriate but understated chamfered posts. The wood materials of the porch are the materials that would have been used historically. Therefore, the proposed rear porch would be in conformance with the guidelines. Based on section B above, staff believes the proposed construction of a one-room wide, full-depth addition, a full-width rear addition, and a rear porch to the existing house would not impair the architectural or historic character of the subject property or the surrounding district. Staff recommends approval of the application.
Douglas, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Craig, and everything in the background, wherever you are.
Hey, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this project? Is there any of the board members that would like to speak to this project? Oh, you're going to luck out today, Douglas.
Oh, wow.
I'll make
Can
a
I
motion
hear-
to find facts as written.
I
Thank you.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Steve?
I'll make a motion that this project does not impair the historic integrity of the district or building and should be granted a COA.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, your application passes,
Thank you,
Douglas.
Craig. There's something to be said for 1.5 hour long meetings. Everybody's exhausted.
Yeah, I know, I'm worn out. That's why I should never be chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You'll be much better next time, Craig.
Oh, yeah, right. All right, Kristen, you want to close this up? Christine?
No, sir, we have additional business.
Okay.
First item of additional business is that this board needs to elect a chair and vice chair for 2021.
Can I nominate Joe Rodriguez?
Joe doesn't know enough yet.
Yeah, he does. I'll second.
I need, I'm not ready.
For which position, Steve? For chair?
Well, if Joe doesn't feel he wants to step up, I mean, how about who wants to do it? Let's say that.
Katrina, I think she'd be great.
Katerina, you in?
Me too.
All right. I nominate Katerina Eccles.
All right, I'll
Chair.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that passed. Is she
Oh,
there?
thank you. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, good. We'll enjoy
That
that.
is a begrudging acceptance speech.
Well, look who's talking.
Yeah, I did my 2 years. That's good.
Well, my head hurts right now from me being temporary chair, so.
Well, Christine, I'll come over and talk to you to go by what I need to be doing.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any more business?
Yes, there is.
Oh, I'm the chairman. You want me to adjourn the billing? You want me to adjourn the meeting? Christine?
We need to discuss appointments to the board. This will be very brief. I've been instructed that I need to review the appointment process with you. So the board currently is short by a few members. We are short by one member that gets nominated by the HMPS, and we are short by a member who is appointed by the Mobile chapter of the AIA, and we are short by a member who is appointed by City Council. We will, in the next couple of weeks, be reaching out to organizations to ask them for their nominations for those positions. They will send us a few names of willing victims, candidates, and City Council will choose which of those folks will be appointed to the ARB. There is still one alternate position that is open with the departure of David Barr, and that position will be appointed by the mayor. Are there any questions about how that works? Yeah, pretty simple. Okay. With that, we have completed all of our business for today. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Christine, do you mind giving me a call after this, if that's okay? Just, I have a quick question for you.
Absolutely will.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, bye, everybody.
Your Majesty. You're going to be a great chair.
Thank you. Bye.